This podcast is brought to you by all of our Anime Addicts community out there. You know, you guys may not know this, but 4 out of the 5 of our past co-hosts have been members of our Discord. A lot of the content for this podcast gets driven off of the Discord from the listeners. It really is a podcast for the listeners, by the listeners, and in many, many senses of the word. And we appreciate all the support you guys give because we need that as well. So this really is a listener-funded, listener-generated, in some ways, podcast. And if you want to help us out and be part of that community, you can head over to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon. If you want to join the Discord, you can go to aaadiscord.com. Be a part of that community. And any support you can give is greatly appreciated. And now it's time to start the podcast.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the anime fans out there. This is the AA Podcast, episode 665. I'm Caroline. Pleased to have you here with us today. Also with us is Mason. Hello, Mason.
And good night. I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm also pretty tired, to be honest, too. We are hot off the heels of our NYC meetup. Thank you to everyone that came out. It was a really fun time, and hopefully we'll be able to do another one of those in the future as soon as we recover from our food comas, our boba tea comas, our manga buying comas, etc. And our karaoke comas, because that was definitely a thing. And also here with us, we got Mitsugi.
Yo, yoroshiku onegaishimasu, Mitsugi desu. I'm enjoying some coffee here on this fine day. In Mitsugi Bachelor Land, because I am having a 2-week frat party because my lovely wife Pancake is not in town anymore, and I'm already regressing to like a 14-year-old boy. I can feel it. I'm gonna fall asleep in a pizza box tonight in the middle of the living room floor, scrape myself off the floor, and go to work. And they'd be like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And I'd be like, "This is what happens when the better half leaves. Everything just falls apart." But I'm happy to be here.
We need that morning shot of you like peeling yourself up off and the cheese is like sticking to your face as it like rips away. That's what I'm envisioning right now.
It'll be interesting. It's basically going to be a lengthy. Tomorrow is President's Day and I don't have to work, so I don't have no Pancake and I'm not working, so I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, I do know. 12 hours of video games. That's what's going to happen. Very exciting. Glad to be here. This coffee's delicious.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was looking at something. Oh, and now that we have discussed our coffee, I have my water. I'm a hydro homie today. You can also just check us out on Twitch, where we are streaming live every Sunday, 5 p.m. EST. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and now Instagram. That's a newer thing. You can find us at official_AAA podcast. We are, of course, on Discord. That is the place to be for all chit chat and whatnot. That's also a good place to be if you are looking forward to another anime meetup or podcast meetup, because we kind of did a lot of the planning through there. Also, check us out with our Amazon affiliate, and you can help support us. Go to supporttheaddicts.com. And Mitsuki, can you explain to them how that works again?
Supporttheaddicts.com is where you go if you want to support the podcast, but you just don't have the cheddar to throw us the bones for the subscription for the extra content, because supporttheaddicts.com is our Amazon affiliates link. So if you scroll down on supporttheaddicts.com, there's a link that takes you to just like an arbitrary anime related page. Anything you buy on Amazon within 24 hours of clicking that link gets the podcast a royalty. And so I recommend that anytime you buy anything off of Amazon ever. It could be like a toothbrush. It could be kitty litter. It could be a PlayStation. It could be anything. Go to supporttheaddicts.com first, click the link, and if we can get everybody doing that, the podcast is going to benefit tremendously. I mean, it'll be like game changing for the podcast. So just keep that in mind, and I love you.
Yes, and thank you very much. And you can also check out our merch shop at, the website is aashop.info. And if you go there, you can find a whole bunch of different little things that we've put together. We are still working on the waifu and husbando t-shirts. I will get that sorted out this week, hopefully. And you can check that out later. And you can also go ahead and vote for our anime Oscars at voteanime.life. And you can be the deciding factor in who will win what in this year's anime Oscars. And we thank you for your votes. Now, Mitsugi.
Just do it!
I believe we also have another little voting thing that just wrapped up. What is it?
Listener choice is done. I normally don't pull it within a week, but it was just over already, so there was really no point in dragging it out. So the second runner-up was the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. And by the way, I should say that the listener choices were the listeners on the Discord, which is another reason why you should join it, get to vote for the final 3 anime that we review from every season. So this is really just like the audience voice. The Ice Guy and his cool female colleague had 18% of you voted for that, and that came in 5th place, so womp womp. I heard a lot about that anime. I didn't see any of it, but not quite good enough to make the cut. The Fire Hunter came in at 4th place, so the first runner-up. Really shocking, actually, because the Fire Hunter is so fucking boring. Something delightful must have happened in like episode 4, 5, or 6, because that's the only way I can explain it. Getting 19% of people that voted picked that. And now for the final 3 that actually get reviews.
Number 3.
3rd place, probably the longest title of this season, I can imagine. The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady has come in 3rd place with 22.1% of the vote. So there you go.
Number 2.
None of us talked about that in impressions, so
yeah,
that's completely new to us.
Yeah, I think it's another isekai. I think.
According to the Discord has been raving a little bit about it, I think, so.
Well, there you go.
It might be good.
2nd place with 22% of the vote, so there was actually a tie. Tomo-chan is a girl. So there you go.
Which I kind of predicted it might come back.
And number 1, much to my dismay.
Number 1.
You all must love hearing me talk shit on anime, because number 1 with 37% of the vote, not even from the very beginning a landslide, Trigun Stampede. Vash the Stampede still holds cachet, I guess. It's that brand equity. So here we go with the CG is a horrible to watch fest. So there you go. So the 3 anime are Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady, which is, by the way, just a fucking terrible title. It's just like, we're just going to describe every character in this show, and that's the title. Tomo-chan is a girl, and Trigun Stampede are the listener choice picks. There you go.
Exciting. So let's focus on what we're doing this episode. Our topic for today is what we've been watching, because yes, somehow we find time to watch anime outside of what we watch for the show. So we'll be doing that. We also have some hot new anime releases on the docket today, and our review of Reincarnated as a Sword. So let's get started with our big news of the week.
Oh, 大ニュースです. It's time for big news of the week.
You know, I feel like Crunchyroll is they're making improvements in some places with their Crunchy Awards, and then making backpedaling in other areas. We already discussed that they left a quarter of 2022 out of their awards, which is idiotic. But they have figured out how to get more people to watch these shows, because every other award show on Earth has famous people announcing the winners. If it's the Oscars, usually it's people that aren't nominated. Like, you have Tom Hanks come up and do something. Well, Tom Hanks, I feel like he's always nominated, but like Tom Hanks will come up and nominate a winner. So they're doing the same thing with the Crunchy Awards, and there's some good names here. So Aiden Hutchinson and Juju Smith-Schuster are both going to be announcing awards, and they're both NFL football players. So we've discussed that a lot of these athletes are into anime, and Juju Smith-Schuster is a wide receiver for the Chiefs, and Hutchinson is a defensive end for the Detroit Lions. So they don't need the money. They're just here to show how much they love anime, basically, and I think that's fucking great. So I'm very excited about that. Finn Wolfhard, the actor from Stranger Things, is going to be doing an announcement as well. So there you go, another famous person. Hunter Schafer, who an actress. I don't know Hunter Schafer, but I guess they were in they're in an upcoming Hunger Games property, and they were also they're an actress and artist from Euphoria. Then you have Jacob Bertrand, who played Hawk in Cobra Kai. He's going to be announcing. Robert Rodriguez, who's not like the most famous person here, but the most relevant to the content probably, is a film director who worked on Battle Angel Alita.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So obviously he likes anime. Zelina Vega, WWE wrestler, which is pretty fucking cool. And then 2 streamers. So Saikuno, which is apparently is like a 10 million follower YouTube gamer, and Valkyrie, I don't know the fuck to say it. Valkyrie, I guess, who is a 13 million follower streamer and the co-owner of 100 Thieves. So there's a lot of famous people announcing the awards. Now they got to do is get the fucking nominees right. And I think you're heading in the right direction. But I don't want to go out on a limb and say this with absolution because I don't know, but something tells me that the virtually unlimited injection of cash that Sony offers probably bought the ability to have these people show up. So I don't think that a football player that makes $12 million a year is going to roll out of bed unless you're paying a little bit of money. So there you go, especially since Juju Smith-Schuster just got a Super Bowl ring and probably clawed in a huge bonus from that. So we're like swimming in money. So if you want them to if you want them to leave Disneyland, you got to offer a little bit of cash, and maybe Sony made that happen. So I don't know, but it's pretty neat, and I hope they keep doing it.
Yeah, it is cool. It does make me question, though, like, who is the anime awards for? Is it for people who already like anime, who want to see people involved with the industry presenting and awarding these awards? Or is it for news outlets who are kind of unfamiliar with the category to be like, oh, look at football players are coming, Hollywood directors are coming, like, famous people are coming, and that makes non-anime fans who weren't like invested in the awards to begin with now care about it, you know?
Well,
I don't know if they would have that big of a pull. You
I
know, I
guess
don't
I'm-
see
I'm-
like
I'm
some
questioning
random
why
football fan
have
saying
these
like,
people-
"Oh my God, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be in these random awards."
Like, the Oscars have famous people present the awards because it's famous actors and actresses and directors and people involved in the industry. And, you know, the Game Awards have game people come and present stuff. Like, I'm not opposed to having, you know, big names come to present. That's how you get more upheaval and notoriety and interest. I get all that. I guess, what? I don't know. I guess I don't know what it serves. But
well,
it
I think
is
it's a good.
nice.
I think it's a good thing, honestly. Anything that's going to draw more crowd to anime is good.
And that's
So,
fair.
You know, so I mean, it could be that Valkyrie tells her 13 million followers that she's going to be on here, and then you end up with like 100,000 people that wouldn't watch the awards otherwise watch it, and then all of a sudden, maybe some of these gamers are watching anime. You know, I don't know. Maybe some of these NFL players go, oh, I'm going to watch this because Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be there, and then they go on Crunchyroll and they're like, fuck me, Vinland Saga is pretty dope, and then all of a sudden you got more fans there. So I don't know. I don't know if it can hurt. I don't know if it can hurt. But all of these people, I assume, did it because they love anime, and that's why. And that's just, you know, in one way, shows that anime has really spread its wings. You know, it's in different areas of society that you wouldn't think. Like 20 years ago, I don't think you'd have an NFL player giving a fuck, and I don't know if you'd have WWE wrestlers giving a fuck either.
Yeah,
Now
I
they do.
don't dislike it. I don't know. I wish there's a little more industry. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, Mason, what do you have?
My big news is far less big, but it is interesting none the same because it has been announced that the Noragami manga will be reaching its finale in the 27th volume, which is kind of cool because I really liked seasons 1 and 2 of the anime, but I haven't really been continuing it because I got time to read. Reading is for nerds. But nonetheless, the
We
story
spent
of
half the day yesterday going to manga stores.
that's fair. That's fair. And we did get some of those, so maybe I should pick it back up. But knowing that it has an ending coming in the short term, at the end of 2023, Noragami will have an end, and we'll finally figure out what happens to our lovable god Yato, who's struggling to earn a pretty penny. Might compel me to pick it back up, or hopefully compel Studio Bones to adapt some more of it, because they only covered up to Volume 10, so there's a lot more story to go, and it'd be real nice, because I missed Noragami. That was a fun show, and it looked cool.
We need more of
Bishamon.
Bishamon. Waifu Awards doc info or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, we all know Roxanne's taking the Waifu Awards this year.
Maybe.
Definitely. Oh, hey girl, you looking so fine.
If 2B comes back, we'll see about that.
Oh, 2B is pretty fine too. Fuck. Wow. So many choices. So many choices. What a time to be alive.
Exactly. We're living the best timeline. We all know
are,
that.
honestly. Yeah, because, yeah. All right, well, what's next, Caroline? You want to
It's our main
shepherd
topic.
us?
We have our what we've been watching topic, which we do every couple months or so. It fluctuates. And actually, I have real things to talk about. A lot of the time, it's me saying, "Oh, I'm halfway through this. I don't know when I'm gonna finish it," but I actually have like 4 things I've actually completed between now and the last time we did this topic. So, hooray, hooray. Mason, would you like to go first?
Oh boy, would I ever. What?
You
I don't know what.
You guys win again.
What do you want me to begin with?
Oh, that's up to you, man.
Come on, man.
Let's start with the top of the list, because I have got a lot of opinions about this show. Mostly because I have no idea what I watched. I watched a show called Ice, which was recommended to me by someone. It was actually a very long time ago, and I forgot who it was, but they were like, "Hey, Ice is a show that's certainly something. You should check it out." And I look it up. It's 3 episodes long, 37 minutes each episode. It's on High Dive and Hulu, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? 3 episodes. How bad can it be? Well, very is part of the answer, but it's so much more than just a bad show. And it is definitely worth witnessing in so many ways. So I recommend this show to people who like watching a show and are like falling asleep while watching it, and then they wake back up and they're like, oh, what I miss? Oh, what happened? Because even as you're watching the show, the narrative is such a disaster that you'll be paying attention and not getting anything. It's just so all over the place with no explanation that it is stunning. So first of all, if I were to play the show for you, you would be like, oh, this is like an early 90s show. Like maybe late 80s, but definitely early 90s. It definitely has that aesthetic. And I will tell you, you're wrong. Because this came out in 2007. It's purposely dated in its visuals. And it begins with this lady who is like talking about her dating life and not really finding success. She goes outside and she just gets popped by a truck. But she doesn't get isekai.
Truck-kun?
Truck-kun makes an appearance.
Oh, fuck
but
yeah, my dog.
We don't know what happens to her. And all of a sudden, we get this other story about this world in 2010 where all the men have died off due to something in the environment. And it's just ladies. It's just women.
Love that.
And yeah, it's a good start. We like that. It's a good thing. We don't know why they died. They're just not there. And essentially, half the women are saying, mankind is evil, mankind mess with society and science and just mess up, and men are bad. And the other half are like, definitely men are bad for sure, but science is okay. Man use science, but science is a good thing. And what science can give us is a thing called ice. And what ice is, I have no idea, because sometimes people use this ice thing and it cases a woman in a block of ice, and then a baby will just spawn out of nowhere next to the ice. And you're like, okay, so maybe that's how you get more babies in this world. But no, because then you touch the ice and it explodes into a massive terraforming beast. And there's birds that turn into trees, and trees that turn into pterodactyls, and And you're asking Mason, what are you doing? Why are you talking about this? Nothing you're saying makes sense. I know. That's part of the beauty of it. And the music is amazing because this whole thing was just done as a one-shot, like, offshoot of AKB48.
Oh.
This is like a...
What?
So there's this massive idol group in Japan, and the guy who runs it was like, I want to make a new idol group from these people. I'm going to call them ICE. So I'm going to bring all these I shouldn't say voice actresses, idols to do the voices for this show, and it's abysmal. I actually recommend the dub so much more highly than the sub because it's a nightmare. No voice matches the character that it's coming from. And so, but the music is really good in it, and the animation is dated, and the voices are terrible. The narrative makes no sense, but it somehow is just a nightmare that you can't look away from. And I watched it, and I don't know what to say. It's just, I don't recommend it to anybody, but it is an experience unlike anything else. So
It fucking
Ice
sucks.
is a show that exists, and it's not like a Guardian's Wing where it's so bad it's good, but it is kind of scratching that itch. So I just want people to know that
Jesus.
this thing exists, and it has mind broken me in so many ways. So there you go, Ice.
I
It's
was surrounded by the suck.
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing, but it's...
Well, if
you know, you know.
can find if you can find sense in things like Sunny Boy and like just really wild things, and you failed to find sense in
No.
this one, I can't imagine what it was like.
Everything that you thought it would go to for like, oh, it's just girls, there's going to be Yuri. No, they're just going to be tossing chicks into pools of blood, and it's going to terraform the earth. Oh, it's going to be about the mankind's influence on like the environment. Nope, it's going to be about fish ladies. Like, everything you think the show will have something to say, it delivers in the most unexpected way. And it still makes no sense. So, there you go. It's Ice.
It's Ice. It's a thing, and it's bad.
Wow, that was awesome. Okay, well, I'll go next. Fresh off the presses, I finished The Eminence in Shadow. Yes, 20 episodes, so it's a little less than 2 cores, and I did do this for impressions when it first came out, but I failed it because, I didn't really think there was much to it. I just didn't really see what the big whoop is because I heard a lot of people really excited for this show to come out. And I'm like, I'm not sure what the hype is. It's really kind of bland and doesn't make a ton of sense. But then I watched episode 5, and it really kicked off. And it has some like really epic moments of action and comedy, and I've talked a little bit about it in the time since, but I have actually finished it, and I have to say, it is pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say that the last couple episodes were my favorite, but it's just a lot of fun, and in a very surprising way, because the main character is everything that I'm supposed to hate. Black hair, for one thing. No, I'm kidding. It's not the main thing, but he is, kind of that very basic character or like audience member insert character that I despise, because he looks pretty bland. He's OP. He's a lot of things. And he also, garners quite a bit of a harem. But the thing is that he's a little dork. He's so dumb. And he, for whatever reason, believes that his ability to become the Eminence in Shadow, the one pulling all the strings in this isekai fantasy world, he thinks all of it's role-playing. And I still don't get it. It's a little... I honestly, I don't understand his psyche whatsoever because it doesn't make any sense. But for whatever reason, he gets involved in this massive international conflict with secret organizations and cults and kingdoms that are being overthrown in coups, and here he is just being a little dork in his chunibyo ways, and it's so funny sometimes, and the action it's just so good. So honestly, if you were on the edge of like not really sure if you wanted to watch The Eminence in Shadow because you thought, oh, it's nothing all that special, or maybe you watched a few episodes like me and you were like, this is so stupid, I think you should just watch a couple more episodes because there's like moments of like really good stuff in this show that I am excited for season 2. And like the other moments are like not as good. And like they're a little bit like you have to wait for the moments that you really want. But at least for me, the stuff in between was good enough to keep me going to get to those points. So, yeah, I recommend.
I'm playing with my stuffed animals.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was very disappointed. It took us a while to identify that a cactuar from Final Fantasy was indeed a cactuar. So Final Fantasy apparently has fallen to the point of irrelevance.
I'm not sure what that is.
See? Well, Final Fantasy 15 will do that to a series. Anyway, just joking. All right, well, I haven't watched anything new, but I do have a wife that has seen far less anime than me, so there are a lot of things to show her. And one such thing is an anime that happens to fall into my favorite format of anime. And we all know what that is, and I stick by it. I think it's the best format that there is, and that is the 3 to 6 episode OVA. I think that it is the best. They tend to look amazing. They're short and sweet. They tend to have not a bunch of bullshit fluff in them, and for some odd reason, they often have great narratives. And Gunsmith Cats is in that category. Iria is in that category. Golden Boy. There's a bunch of them. But have you heard of the maybe at this point, the little-known 3-episode OVA known as the Read or Die OVA, which came out back in 2001, which features Agent Paper, Yomiko Reedman, and her basically band of secret agent colleagues as they go on their like secret agent missions to take down the bad guys in the movie, and one of which is the embodiment of the Monkey King, which is pretty fucking cool. Read or Die, the OVA it's like if James Bond was a teen. I'm gonna say she's about 18. If James Bond was an 18-year-old girl that had the ability to manipulate paper in any way she wanted to, such that she can stand on top of a building and open up a briefcase full of paper and mold it into a paper airplane that she could like ride through the sky, which is pretty cool. There are characters that can like shift through walls in this. The Read or Die OVA is a 3-episode OVA that has some of the best action you will ever watch in anime. And it is impeccably animated with great music and I can't believe it has a 7.6 on my anime list. How is this even possible? People have terrible taste. I don't know what else to say about that, but the Read or Die OVA is some legendary shit that you ought to go back and watch. And now that there is a Read or Die TV series that I don't think is as good as the OVA, but boy, I highly recommend you go back and watch the anime from the OVA from the early 2000s, because it's just a stunning example of what you can do with a simple concept and just execute it to perfection. So take this as a recommendation for something that you can watch in a total of, these episodes are 30 minutes
like 30
each.
minutes, yeah.
It basically plays as a film, like a short film even, and I don't think you're going to regret it. Mason, I assume you've seen the Read or Die OVA.
Yeah, I haven't watched the TV series, but I've watched the OVA, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just very... Yep. It's not hard to follow. It's just really stylistic and clean. It just is really sharp looking and just has a level of production that you don't always get in anime. And it just knows what it is, gets in, does it. It's not going to blow your mind or anything, but it's a good 90 minutes well spent.
It doesn't have a mind-blowing narrative, for example, but a lot of people want it to look great. They want it to have really sharp action and have really memorable characters. And I think that definitely delivers that.
Main character is like super fun too.
Yeah. So the Read or Die OVA, go check it out. I think it'll be you'll know real quick that it's something you're going to want to watch. So, and back to you, Mason.
Yeah, well, I'll springboard off that and talk about a 6-episode ONA that came out called Lupin Zero, which is essentially a throwback, a prequel to everyone's favorite thief, Lupin the Third. And essentially shows Lupin's debauchery when he's in high school. Kind of goes through his initial friendship with Jigen, kind of the rivalry with his lineage of his father, his grandfather, and just all the hijinks that Lupin gets into as a kid. And I would say that visually, this ONA is absolutely fantastic. It aesthetically nails the bullseye between like the retro styling of old school classic Lupin cartoons and modern capability. This is, if every Lupin from now on looked like this, it would be exactly what I came there for. That said, as slick as it looks, as cool as it sounds, it is narratively pretty lacking. I found just about every episode to have a slow point or a boring point where I was like, this is still going on, like, and just kind of just had to get through it. So I would say Lupin Zero is a easy entry into the franchise because it chronologically happens first. But as good as it looks, I can't recommend it besides like diehard Lupin fans that are already invested in what he will become and just want to see a throwback. I would much rather have people start with like Lupin the third part, like 4 or 5 or one of like the offshoots, but it is still visually a fun time. It delivers the charm you expect, and it's not a bad ONA, and it is on High Dive if you have it and love Lupin, and for some reason haven't checked it out. So there you go. It's,
All right, very nice.
It's Lupin. What more you need to say?
Next up on my list is that I finished the Quintessential Quintuplet Season 2. So, I mentioned like a long while ago that I had watched like maybe one episode of the second season when it came out, and then I dropped it, and I can't remember who, but they convinced me to just jump into the second season and get it done. So I decided, you know what, you're right. Second season's only 12 episodes. I've already watched one. And then after that, all I have to do is watch the movie, and then I get the final reveal of who this really bland male character marries, and I care for some reason.
Who do you want to win?
Okay, well, season 1, maybe I just give a general idea what Quintessential Quintuplets is if people don't know. It's
a bunch
a
of
harem
hot chicks.
show. Yeah, 5 really dumb quintuplets in high school. They don't know what they're doing. They can't pass the test to save their lives. Well, Futaro is a very, very smart guy, very bland looking, but he only cares about studying, and he decides to take up the job of tutoring them for their rich father, because he's really poor and he needs money and everything like that. It just so happens that they all start to fall in love with him, because of course they do, even though most of them kind of hate him at the beginning.
And they're dumb as shit.
What?
And they're all dumb as shit.
Yeah, they are very dumb. Season 1,
So I
was definitely a Miku fan. Like, I'm all for a girl that is able to find out that she realizes that she has a crush on someone and tries to go for it. She's the first one that truly appreciated Futaro, and I loved that for her. And I'm like, go girl, get him, yes, do it. And you know, it was Yotsuba. She's okay, but she's just a little bit ganky. The good thing about season 2 is that I actually liked her a little bit more during it. Nino, she improved. She's no longer a complete bitch, and I kind of respect her a little bit. And actually, she kind of rose in the ranking. She rose in the ranking because I can see why she would be very likable in season 2. Miku, she didn't really do much in season 2, so it's kind of she kind of lost a bit of her ranking there. Itsuki, I never liked her. She's even blander than Futaro, I think. So, and you know that's supposed to be the end game girl, unless they actually do something smart and not go with her. But that, from the moment you first see her, you know that is usually the girl they go with. That's the end game.
So it sounds like
Ichika,
you're talking about...
she can go fuck herself. Ichika can go fall into a ditch. Ichika is the worst. And I hate that he can even consider her as an option, because I cannot believe the backhanded shit that she does to her own sisters, and she does not deserve Futaro, even if he is pretty, not exactly the greatest prize in the world, but come on. Like, if this is the prize, she does not deserve it. She does not.
Grandly fucked
so,
over.
Yeah. If I were to give them rankings, I would go Ichika last, Itsuki fourth place, third place, maybe Yotsuba, second place, Nino, first place, Miku. But the top 3 could change.
There you go, everyone.
Bottom 2, I think, are going to be pretty stable.
There's your ranking of queens.
Yes, that's what it is. The thing is that season 2, I feel like hardly anything happened. I feel like it's the first season just replayed.
Did it have hot
Because
girls?
honestly, if you were to play me a scene from season 2, I would not really know if it was from season 2 or season 1. Like there was hardly anything that really happened.
Answer the question.
Except for like a couple of reveals, and that's basically it. And
She
at the
didn't
end,
answer.
everyone's in love with him. Everyone's in love with him. I still don't understand why for a few of them. I can see for Miku. I can maybe see for Yotsuba. Maybe Nino. The other two, I'm like, since when were you in love with him? I don't know. It's just
you know what
didn't
I
make a
can't
lot of sense.
understand? Why you can't answer a simple question. Are there hot
Sorry, I
girls
couldn't
or
hear
not?
you because I'm talking. I
Are there
can't
hot
hear
girls
you
or
over my
not,
own
Caroline?
talking.
Oh,
What's the question? Sorry.
never mind. Moving.
I couldn't
move
hear
on.
you.
It's okay.
What?
Okay. The moment has passed. You killed the bit.
It's not my fault you decided to talk while I was talking. So overall, I do not recommend season 2. If you really, really want to know what happens at the end, I have not gotten to the movie yet, but I feel like you could look up the major plot points of season 2 and you would be just fine. Because there is only like 2 or 3 of them. So I am excited to finally get to the movie, see what girl this bland guy marries, and be done with it. That's
All right.
quintessential quintuplet season 2.
I haven't seen that show, but I'm sure I would love it because, well, it's a harem, I think. So, and our guest on last week, Mr. The Pac-Man, he would love quintessential quintuplets, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mugen Wakusei Survive. I haven't talked about this show in about 10 years. It's another show that I revived from the grave because I find it to have a very unique concept that is something you'll see on live action TV, but rarely I think do you see it in anime, and that is just trying to survive in the wild, pretty much, for the most part. This is the story of the English is Uninhabited Planet Survive. From 2003, it's 52 episodes. And it's basically about a class of like second graders who go to like a space station or something, to like, have a field trip, and like bad shit happens, and they end up crash landing on an alien planet as a bunch of fucking like kids, and the stuff they have to do to survive in the alien environment, complete with monsters, quicksand, starvation, all this. And really, I just don't think you see this very much in anime. I think the premise is not very widely explored. I'm sure there's something else that is close, but compared to the 14 isekai we get a season now, this is like the most novel idea on Earth. And watching them build like shelter and setting traps for fish and animals and making like makeshift weapons and just trying to get off this fucking planet and survive is, as the title indicates, is pretty neat. And I can see that based on how many people have indicated they watch this on my anime list, that practically no one has seen this. And I'm not that surprised, to be honest with you, but this is a pretty good anime, and I think people ought to check it out. And I think it'll declare itself pretty quickly. I think you'll know early on if Uninhabited Planet Survive is something you want to watch. Obviously, I didn't watch all of it recently because it's long, but the premise is really good, and if it clicks with you, I don't think it won't let you down throughout the duration. I do think it goes a little long, but it is what it is. Have either of you seen Uninhabited Planet Survive?
I have not. I've heard of it. I've thought about it, but that, with being on a podcast, with reviewing stuff day in and day out, 52 episodes is...
It's a lot.
A lot, but it's doable. It's definitely doable. And I do like the whole survival aspect. I wasn't huge onto, what was it, Kanata no Astra? Like the Astra Lost in Space? Because it sounds a little similar to that, but it could be cool. I definitely would be hyped if I had more time.
I
Yeah.
have never heard of it before.
I'll put it on my plan to watch. I'll give it a couple episodes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think if you watch maybe 3 episodes, you'll have enough.
Okay.
But This is something I watched back when I was in college because, yeah, like you said, who the fuck has time for this now? Not me.
Our listeners have time.
Well, that's because they are highly efficient with their
It's
day.
true. They're what peak human performance looks
That's
like.
right. Triple tasking.
Exactly.
Mason, back to you.
Yeah, speaking of shows that I said I would give a shot from last week.
Oh, no way.
Oh gosh.
So on episode 664, we did the anime dating game, and one of the questions was that we asked the participants is, what was your first show? And one of the responses was, My Bride is a Mermaid. In which case we lambasted them, being like, who watches that show? No one's seen that show, especially for a first show. And there was a bunch of people in Twitch, on YouTube, on the Discord that was like, I've seen that show. It's not too bad. I actually kind of like it. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a couple episodes. So I watched 2 episodes of My Bride is a Mermaid. It is better than I expected. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, Funimation, or Hulu. That said, I will not be continuing it. But essentially, it starts off. The first scene is this kid drowning, about to die in the ocean. But unfortunately for him, he is saved by a lovely mermaid, which means he didn't die. Which means that based on the Yakuza-esque family that this mermaid belongs to, he and his family are now put in the position of he and his family must be executed and killed in order to keep the secret that the Yakuza and their kin are mermaids, or he must enter matrimony and marry this mermaid in order to, swear the secrecy to life of marriage. So it's very much a comedy. It's very much more of a com than the rom, and it is not horrible. It is fun. It is energetic. It is pedal to the metal at all times. It's very similar to like Bakuto Test, where it just is firing at all cylinders. It is directed by the very inconsistent Seiji Kishi, who has done some very good stuff and some very not good stuff. I think the biggest problem for me is that it falls in the early 2000s, like discount visuals. It looks snappy and sharp for like gags, but as a presentation method, it is very lackluster. And the problem I had with it is that while it is always firing, repeats the same jokes ad nauseum. I think in each episode I could count like a reused gag 5 or 6 times a piece for multiple gags. So it is fun and it's not boring in any way. And I'm sure it actually is pretty solid. People seem to indicate that the ending is good and satisfying and actually reaches a satisfying conclusion. But I don't think for 26 episodes that it's my cup of tea. So My Bride is a Mermaid was not bad, but is not for me. I will not be continuing it. But props to all of you who have seen it and vouched for it, because it's kind of fun.
I think little Erky would be very happy.
Yeah, it better than I expected, especially given that name and like the Gonzo staff that I was expecting. So.
And as for the Pack Hunter,
what?
They were quite a couple on the show. It was great. So my next thing on the list is A Place Further Than the Universe. I finally watched it.
Yay.
I finally finished it. So of course this was one of the biggest shows to come out in the year. It did. Was it like 2018, right? Around there. And I heard so much about it, but I never watched it. I heard how good it was, but I never watched it. And people talked their head off about it, and I never watched it. And then back in July, when Anime Club picked it for the meeting that we were doing, I was like, great, I can finally watch it. But oh wait, I have absolutely no time to watch it, so I only watched 1 episode. And then several months later, I finally got back to it, and I finished it. So, for those who don't know, A Place Further Than the Universe is about a group of high school teenage girls, and one of them is absolutely obsessed with Antarctica because her mom went on an expedition there, and died, unfortunately, in the process.
Ouch.
Yeah, it really sucked. And she really wanted to go to Antarctica herself. I feel like as a way to gain closure with the loss of her mother, and also because Antarctica is just a really cool place to her, both literally and figuratively. And so she finally like starts to round up a group of girls that have, you know, their own ambitions and reasons for wanting to go to Antarctica, including our main character. And her deal is that our main character's deal is that she has spent so much time in high school like wanting to do things and then never doing them, and she needed the push in order to make the first step to doing something incredible. And I feel like that's incredibly relatable for a lot of people, because we all have ambitions of wanting to do things, and it's really difficult to actually get yourself to do them. And so finally she is able to, do this really massive thing that should be impossible for most people, but they eventually made it possible for themselves. And they go on this adventure and they grow friendships, and it's really cute. And it's also kind of heartbreaking because you have this girl who lost her mother and she's visiting the place where she lost her. And, you know, it's really sad, but also very happy because they are able to do this thing that most people don't get the chance to do or don't allow themselves to do ever. So it's a very good show, especially if you are planning to go or trying to plan to go traveling like I am, because I'm going on a trip in the spring. So I thought when I was watching this, wow, this is kind of what's the word? It's appropriate for the place I am in life. So I feel like a lot of other people would feel the same if they haven't watched it already. So there you go. I am just reaffirming that A Place Further Than the Universe is actually good.
It is good.
I didn't hear anything about penguins though.
Oh, and there are penguins.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, it is.
The thing about Antarctica, I've never been to Antarctica, but the thing about it is, you can go to Antarctica if you want to drop like 10 G's. I mean, you can do it, but why? Why would you do it? The average.
I believe you missed where she said penguins.
Yeah, well,
I think it's more about going to a place that is so different from anywhere else in the world.
I think the anime of A Place Further Than the Universe doesn't really depict what Antarctica would be like accurately, which is a frozen wasteland that at its warmest averages negative 28 degrees Fahrenheit without wind chill.
That's why most of the show was not in Antarctica.
you're basically going to step out of like a ship into the most horrible place that you can possibly go on Earth and pay 10 grand to do it. And yeah, I don't.
The show is about stepping outside your comfort zone. It's about
they accomplished that.
Something new. Yeah, that's what it did well. I do like. Part of me is like, oh, I wish it was more about like what they actually did in Antarctica and the trip and travel, like the mechanisms. Yeah. But that's not what's important. And as the aforementioned penguins indicate, I like the show. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, it's a great show.
I thought the journey was very interesting, like them having to be on the boat, being treated as a crew member, having to exercise because otherwise they would be very ill-equipped to be in Antarctica. So they're like running laps around the boat and everyone has to do it and that kind of thing. So in that way, it's kind of interesting to see what kind of journey you would have to take to get there. Actually being there, it was surprisingly short in the span of the anime, the time that they were actually there. But we got the point, I think.
It's just it's a very good anime, but the depiction of Antarctica in the anime is not accurate. Like, for example, you're not going to sit on like a thing with blankets and a thermal jacket with earmuffs and have your face exposed, because you're going to have frostbite in 7 minutes. You're going to lose your fucking nose. So I understand that like they can't like cover their faces, but you won't have a single square centimeter of skin exposed in Antarctica at any point during the year, because you will lose your fucking skin. So
I don't know if that's 100% true.
Well, the average, since we're getting into it, the warmest possible time you can go to Antarctica is January, because it's in the South Pole, and the average mean temperature is a negative 18 degrees without wind chill. So you can go look up a temperature. We just had that temperature in Denver. You can go look up a table. It'll tell you how long it takes for you to get frostbite at negative 18, and I can tell you right now it's about 10 minutes. So I just did this. So That's and at the coldest, it's
crushing
naked.
dreams, and it's
I'm just telling you, I'm just saying, like, if I don't even know why I can go. Well, what's the point? I don't know. Never mind. Moving on.
Your turn.
You're next.
Yeah. I was just saying, I don't
A
think
lot of ice on this episode. A lot of cold.
I wouldn't pay $10,000 to go to a horrible place that you can't really enjoy yourself. That's all I'm getting at. Spice and Wolf. Watch some of Spice and Wolf. I believe there was a season 3 coming. Caroline ate a jelly bean. I'm working on it, but Caroline's tough these days. She doesn't want to eat her jelly beans.
Well, I haven't seen Spice and Wolf.
Well,
What happened to the thing where you're going to do something very inappropriate to the wall? I thought you were doing that at this episode.
Well, we got to find the right time. You know, you for that kind of artistry, you got to find the right inspiration, you know? And that inspiration could be Horo, because she is definitely waifu war material. However, at this moment, I have a chocobo hanging out of my shirt, and it's just not... It's not for chocobo's eyes, okay? They're too young and innocent. But Horo, she wants you to think she's young and innocent, but when she's going, but every time she gets in gets out in the streets with Lawrence and decides to partake in his merchantry, she always ends up with, in her drunken debauchery. So she's not so innocent, But Spice and Wolf is an anime from 2008 that supposedly was going to have a 3rd season. At some point they said that, and I still don't believe it. Since I just read an article that said that the original creator of the anime doesn't want a 3rd season. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I doubt it. But Spice and Wolf is, an anime with Lawrence and Horo. Horo's like a wolf deity, and Lawrence is a simple merchant. And you get to kind of travel around with them from town to town and watch Lawrence negotiate and trade and make a lot of money. And they go to bars and get drunk. And Horo's really... for lack of a better word, anime sex icon. So probably one of the number 1 sex icons of the 2000s, without a doubt. And it's a good anime, honestly. Both seasons are excellent, and it's got a very great theme song, and the music and the vibe is very peaceful and very enjoyable all the way from end to end. Now, we didn't watch all of this recently. It's only 13 episodes, but we only watched like the beginning portion of it. But Spice and Wolf's fucking great, and if you haven't seen it, boy, you're missing out, because this is definitely this would be an anime that people would put in, like, that might nominate for anime of the year in most of the years we've had recently. But it's been a long time, so I don't know if it's ever going to come back, and it probably won't. But boy, Spice and Wolf has like one of the best fucking theme songs you're ever going to hear in an anime. It's very excellent, and yeah, so go watch it if you haven't seen it. I don't think you'll regret it, and I'm sure you can watch it on most streaming services because it's a big title. So it's up there, like, with, it's on my anime list. It's in like the top 200 most watched anime. So it's up there with like with some big dogs and some big wolves.
And some big wolves, I was about to say.
There
And if
you
you're
go.
in college and you're taking an economics course,
It's
you just
excellent.
bring in a PNG of Holo, and your teacher will know what's up and automatically give you an A, because this show teaches you all you need to know about medieval era economics.
And Horo's hot.
That too.
She's hot. Okay, I'm all out. So we can wrap it up here, or if you
Caroline,
guys
you got anything? If you want to do one more, go for
if
it.
you guys have something strongly you feel like that you want to mention, go for it. But that's all I've got.
All right, well, I'll just throw this one in there because it wouldn't be too long. I watched Makuya When the Promised Flower Blooms for Anime Club again, and it's been a long time coming with that one because I definitely heard a lot about it when it came out, but never watched it. So I watched it thinking that I was going to burst into tears at some point because a lot of people have, and I never did, which kind of sucked. I'm like, what the heck, tear ducts? I thought I was supposed to care. Why am I not caring enough? And I did care a little bit, but not enough to cry. And so if you are unaware of what it's about, it's a very decent fantasy that they have set up here, where Makuya is a... Wait, her name is Makuya, right? The main character?
Haven't seen it.
I feel like I need to double check on that because I feel like I would be stupid to call her. It's been a while since I watched the movie.
I think so, but I'll check.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
I have not seen this movie
Makuya.
in
Her
a
name
very
is
long
indeed
time.
Makuya. That now I definitely sound stupid. So she is a member of the Yorf tribe where they are like, they don't age or they age very, very slowly. So, and she looks like a young girl, like 14, 15, even though she's probably a little bit older than that. And her tribe is attacked, and whoever managed to survive the attack is all has dispersed across the lands. And Makuya's on her own. She comes across a little baby boy, and she decides that she's going to care for this baby, even while she's trying to keep her identity a secret so she's not killed. And so it's about her raising this baby, even though she's going to be basically eternally 14, 15 years old looking. And it does get into like a little weirdness because, he grows up and doesn't really see her as a mother figure. And I don't know, it's just, it's not one of my favorite kind of things to be the focus of a movie, but it is a very decent fantasy setup. And it does pull at heartstrings at some point, but I honestly do not care for the boy. I just don't like him. He's a little twerp, I think. But overall, it is a decent movie. Yeah.
Aren't there like a ton of anime mothers that look 15?
You're not wrong about that, but she, like, people look at her and they say, like, you're really young to be having a baby. Like, what's that about? And really judging her for it. And I'm like, oh, but she's so much older and she didn't birth this child. She's just taking care of him. And then they kind of see her as like, oh, that's your little sister, isn't it? And it's like, no, she's like kind of cared for him since infancy. So yeah, it does get a little weird in places.
There are a tremendous number of people that would definitely choose if they could to be to look 15 forever. Can you imagine?
Sure.
I would take that in 10 seconds. I wouldn't even think about that shit. Wow.
Were you awkward at 15?
I had hair. I mean, I don't know if I was awkward. Probably.
You were just probably the same amount of awkward, just with
I
hair.
don't think I would want to be 15 forever because I definitely, I think I'm at my peak right now. I'd rather be in my young 20s because you also can't drink at 15, Mitsugi.
But you're not literally 15. You just don't.
But who's going to give you alcohol if you look 15?
Yeah, well, I'm sure you have an ID.
You're going to go to the ramen place we went to where they don't card you. You got to go to the Hobby Addicts to hear about that. I do want to mention really quick, if you do want to check out My Bride is a Mermaid to hear that comedy show I was talking about, it looks like it's only on Funimation now. It's not on Crunchy or Hulu. So, sorry, I lied to you. I lied to your face, and I got away with it.
Or to your ears.
Yeah, true. Twitch called me out, so thank you, Twitch.
All right, let's have a news break.
Yeah,
How about
the
that?
Insho Weekly Trivia question. In the land of Reincarnated as a Sword, how many moons are in the sky? Yes, there is more than one, but how many? Too many. You can answer that question. We'll be in our news break, and we'll give you the answer right after that.
Anime Addicts, Mitsugi's here, bringing you your anime news break. Getting us started off with an anime adaptation announcement. Kadokawa did announce that Keiso's Ishida light novel is going to be getting made into an anime adaptation. It's going to have Yuki Kaji and Reina Ueda in the cast. They're going to be voice acting the main characters of the anime. This Keiso originally began writing this fantasy action novel on the Kakuyomu website back in 2017, and it has 6 volumes that have shipped as of last July. The 7th volume is going to be coming out, well, right about the time that I'm recording this on February 17th. So look forward to Ishida, the fantasy action series coming out. It looks pretty neat, and we'll have to see more about that when more details are announced. Next up, COVID strikes again. Yes, it just is relentless. So this time, Bofuri Season 2 is having a delayed episode. The 7th episode is going to be delayed until March 8th due to the effects of COVID on the production. They didn't say they canceled Bofuri Season 2, but we will have to see if this is a foreshadowing of things to come for the series. ideally they won't have to cancel Bofuri as it's one of the more watched anime of the season. Next up in the news, the Studio Ghibli theme park has allocated $50 million for its 2023 budget, and one of the biggest attractions at the newly opened Ghibli theme park are the cat bus displays from My Neighbor Totoro. But the park is not content to just have stationary cat buses. They are now going to be installing electric cat buses this year that can transport people around the park, and as they say, in an environmentally friendly way, whatever. But, you know, it's pretty exciting to be able to ride in a friggin' cat bus, am I right? So if you ever get a chance to go to Japan, I actually don't recommend you do it during COVID in Japan, but when you do go, check out that Ghibli theme park because you know you're going to want to ride in a cat bus. Next up, Universal Park and Resorts in Orlando has announced that they're going to be adding a new Super Mario Nintendo World area to the Universal theme park. The area will be a part of the upcoming Epic Universal theme park, which is scheduled to be opening in 2025. Universal Studios is just crushing it down there. That theme park is insanely good right now. Comcast confirmed during an earnings call in January 2020 that it's going to be doing this Super Nintendo World area. So it's not like it's completely brand new news, but it has resurfaced, and it is indeed going to be coming out in the 2025 release of the new expansion of the theme park. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and now time to get back to the podcast right now.
Hello, my name is Celestine. I'm a geneticist, and yes, I'm French.
I'm Cass from Sydney, and my career is in women's humanitarian aid.
My fiancé here and I set up a company called Gene Queens to bring genetic engineering to social causes. Why should eugenics just be for bad guys?
Our adventures are online as webcomics at www.janequeens.com. You can read them for free.
It's like Black Mirror meets Lena Dunham's girls.
But with more sex than the former and more drugs than the latter.
Come splice with the nice girls.
You've been waiting nearly 13 years, but the podcast has gone the distance. We have launched our podcast merchandise store, www.aashop.info. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and more, nearly at cost, because we want you to spread the word, not empty your pockets. So help spread the word that you're an anime addict and get yourself some Anime Addicts merch over at www.aashop.info. That's www.aashop.info. Welcome back to the pod. In the land of Reincarnated as a Sword, how many moons are in the sky? 7. 7 moons.
It's a lot of moons.
It's too many.
A lot of tidal stuff going around.
And they're all really
I wonder what their oceans are like.
strangely arranged.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little weird, gotta say.
Yeah.
Why are they different colors, too?
All right, guys. Well, we're going to do a segment now that we haven't done in a while, but it seems like it is a good time to do it. It's hot new releases, so let's hit it.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
Mason?
Yeah, there's been a outpouring of new stuff that's been announced. We'll go through some of the big ones and let you know how excited we are for it, because, I don't know, I think some of these will be interesting. First and foremost, the one that I am probably the most excited for is Netflix has confirmed that we are finally, after years of being teased and trying to be pushed for and moving around, we are getting the adaptation of Pluto, the fantastic version of Naoko Urasawa's take on Astro Boy. It is such a good manga, and this has been teased that for years. I've actually had it on my plan to watch for years, and just now we are getting confirmation that yes, it is going to be a thing. It is coming to Netflix by Studio M2, which is obviously the famed producer who put that studio together, Masao Maruyama, who like founded all of the best studios ever, like Madhouse. So I trust the team. There has been just a sneak peek trailer shown. Doesn't show a ton. It looks pretty good. There's a little bit of CG implemented, but I've got my hopes up. I think this will be really good, really cool. It's been a long time coming, and I'm just kind of still stunned that this is a thing at all. I didn't think it was going to happen. So
You bought the
very
manga
excited
yesterday,
for that.
didn't you?
I was pointing it out to you. I was like, or it was, I don't remember if it was you or
I know we were talking about it.
someone. We went to Kinokuniya in New York City, and I was like, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. I'm so excited. It's Pluto. It's Pluto. It's Pluto. So, and here it is. So I assume you guys know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know the creator.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's
Very
gonna be good.
famous.
Next up, we have the Apothecary Diaries. I do not know too much about this one, but it looks pretty good. It's a anime adaptation of a light novel series, but it looks not like a typical isekai. It's just more of a fantasy one, but it's really sharp looking, and it's done by OLM, who have been absolutely killing it as of late. You might know them from some of the bigger animes in recent years, but they're good, and I don't know. I've got hopes. I assume you guys haven't seen the trailer or nothing.
No, I haven't.
I
It
am
looks
pretty
good.
ignorant today.
No worries. It looks good, and I'm excited. Obviously, more details to come out later. The next two big ones are kind of heavy hitters. We got 2 season 3 announcements. One, speaking of Ranking of Queens, we have Rent a Girlfriend
Oh God,
confirmed to get a season 3.
Ugh, the simping
Yes.
continues.
It is still a thing.
The deep simping.
Announced in the manga. I don't think. Yeah, I think it's coming this year in July after
I can't wait.
2022 season 2. So luckily we won't have to review it. Luckily I'm not going to watch it at all, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get some fantastic memes, some fantastic scenes of a certain boy floating in a pool with if you know, you know.
I saw
And-
that screenshot.
With
Yeah.
his ball, are his balls going to be out?
No, but
No. It's interesting.
he's between a rock and a hard place, and it'll.
Does it involve
It's,
breasts?
No, it's don't
The
worry about
fucking
it.
anime is this?
Any part of this anime involves breasts.
Yeah,
Rent a
this whole
Girlfriend?
anime is about breasts. Yeah,
There's plenty of breasts. You just,
yeah.
not going to get any, but
I think you should look up Rent a Girlfriend pool manga scene, and then you know what we mean.
all right, I'm going to look this shit up.
Okay.
Please do.
While he does, I just want to announce for people who listened to the trivia question and are confused by the answer. Every
Why
shot
is it
in
confusing?
Reincarnated as a Sword has 6 moons in the sky. And I'm like, okay, that's a good trivia question. 6 moons, it makes perfect sense. Well, I go onto the wiki to double check it, and it says there's 7 moons, and I don't understand it. So, if you read, maybe it's 7. If you watch, it's 6, or maybe a 7th one will pop in later. Maybe spoilers. I don't know. I'm sorry. Regardless, that's my explanation. Have you found it yet, Mitz?
I'm
Look it up
trying to
in
find
Mailbag.
it.
Someone send them a. Anyway, Rent a
I'm
Girlfriend.
working on
Help a guy
I'm not
out.
excited to watch it, but I'm excited to hear the community backlash, and that's a thing. Now, that's the show.
I see a page from a manga that's censored,
Oh, well,
and it's got a.
Claire's throat.
I don't know how to put this delicately other than to just say it. It looks like there's a guy, and it's not the main character, giving it to the girl character from behind.
Caroline's
And-
like,
That's not it.
Oh, well, that's another scene. Someone's getting some action, but it's not Kazuya.
that's Rent a Girlfriend season 3. Stay tuned. It
God
will
Oh
be.
wait a
Damn
minute. Wasn't that what he was thinking about
Ugh.
as he was in the pool?
I don't know.
Okay,
memes.
well, we are talking about something that none of us have read, only have seen out of context. So
Damn, this is
There we
it's
go.
nudity. It's getting
There we go.
intense.
Season 3.
Shit.
Another jiggly action at play. We have That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime coming back.
What the
The grand finale screening of the movie Scarlet Bond announced that a third season will be coming out in spring of 2024. That is a year away, but nonetheless, have either of you been following up with season 2? I know we reviewed the first season. It was pretty fun. And I think you watched a bit of season 2, Mitz?
Yeah, but that anime just got so samey that I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, it's basically, I don't know. I didn't get that far into season 2, honestly. I watched all of season 1, both halves. And then season 2, it just seemed like more, he was going to delicately beat up on more, like, tribe leaders and have more people join his kingdom. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first season and I generally enjoyed it, but then it was like the same thing all the time. Not for me.
It seems like it's just a scene from this manga where basically Kazuya is just imagining this girl having sex, and then the manga has like 4 pages that look like a hentai doujin, basically. That's what I'm seeing. And all I can think is, you've given this girl like $5,000 at this point, when you could have just hired an escort 10 times and gotten a lot more out of it for your money. Just make it happen, bro. I mean, it's just like, what is the point? What is the point of paying her, who she is an escort? She is.
Well, Mitsugi is obsessed with the logic of a very horny high school boy. I'm obsessed with trying to figure out this whole moon situation and Reincarnated as a Sword, because I see an image from the manga, and there are 7 moons in a very different
configuration.
I thought it was 6 moons.
Position,
I thought it was 6 moons, actually.
There are 6 moons in the anime, and they're configured completely differently. So I'm wondering, what the heck is going on with these moons, and why is it different? And nobody's talking about it online. Where's the discussion on why they did this?
I want to know why, after you pay a girl like $200 to go to the movies and hold your hand in public, and she doesn't give you anything. Listen, I'm sorry, she's an escort. So escorts get paid a lot of money. Their escorts get paid $10,000 a night, right? But, at the end of the night, stuff happens that would make Caroline eat a jelly bean, right?
Oh,
but
yeah, sure.
In this fucking anime, he's just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to give you all of my money, and I'm going to get nothing out of it, except misery. And someone should
anime fans, when they watch one episode of Spice and Wolf, and they're economic masterminds, I know how to buy an escort.
This guy just needs to get laid, is what he needs, badly. I wish I could help him, but the frustration of watching him just wallow into self-pity is just too painful to handle.
Well, there you go.
He's sure literally crying. He's crying as he sinks into the bottom of a swimming pool in this manga. Bro,
you can't even cry in a swimming pool.
You have nothing to lose at this point. Just pull your balls out and stick them on her or something, and just make it happen.
Okay.
Honest, yeah, there you go. Eat your jelly beans. You've paid for it already. She's stringing you along. It's terrible. Everybody's abusive. This anime is so abusive. There's so much abuse.
The message is watch Pluto when it comes out. It'll be good.
You know what? Kazuya needs to just pull his balls out and make it happen. And so right now, I'm going to show him how to do that. I'm going to stick my balls on this wall behind me right now, live on camera.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to make this happen. This is for you, Kazuya.
Wasn't this for Raggedy Doctor?
Well, it is, but he's the one who said he couldn't do it.
He did it.
He's doing it.
Oh my God, this is one of the weirdest things that we've done so far. How freeing was that? Was that liberating for your balls?
My balls don't need to be liberated, but Kazuya, he's gonna get prostate cancer or something.
I feel like we need to explain that, because people are gonna be wondering, why the hell did you do that?
No, leave them guessing.
I don't need to explain anything.
And I'll give you a licorice jelly bean for that.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Well, that's the worst flavor there is. Just like everything in Rent a Girlfriend. Well, you know what we need a second season of is Domestic Girlfriend. Did we get a second season of that?
Significantly better.
Yeah, I mean that was like, so they're both trash, right? And shit, people love trash TV. People watch 90 Day Fiance. People watch My 600 Pound Life. They watch the fucking show where you get married to people you don't even barely know. Whatever.
Hoarders.
They watch Hoarders. They watch all this shit. Rent a Girlfriend is trash. Domestic Girlfriend is trash. And there's a bunch of other shows that are trash. But Rent a Girlfriend makes you feel pain when you watch it. And it's just not fucking worth it. Oh, man. Woo!
Are we done?
Poor Cosmo.
Dame Kano, you watch it and you're like, these people are evil and bad. I want to see what happens to them. Rent a Girlfriend, you watch it and you're like, I feel secondhand embarrassment and
I just feel bad
uneasy.
for this kid.
Yeah. So
he's got problems and he's gonna need a lot of therapy, and he's making his problems worse. And,
I just want you to know that
broke.
this is getting a season 3 and not Spice and Wolf.
Yeah. Well,
I just want you to internalize that and think about that.
How about this is getting season 3 and we're not getting the rest of Space Brothers? How about that?
I mean, Space Brothers got 99 episodes. I'm not going to come.
Oh, come on.
Maybe we'll
bruh.
get more one day. We'll get more. It's fine. We can move on, though.
All right.
Mailbag.
Mailbags.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
Mason, where were those dance moves when we were doing karaoke yesterday?
I was tapping my foot.
You can do much better. You just did 10,000 more things better.
I was going for the
than
office
tapping the
dance, the karate chop dance.
Yes, I'm familiar. Well, speaking of Raggedy Doctor, he has sent us a mailbag today, and you can do so as well at AAApodcast.com. Send us any question that you want to. So Raggedy says, black-haired blank slates, villainous protagonists, video gamification, overpowered MCs, elf girls, slaves. There have been a lot of odd trends in isekai, but I want you to predict the next one. What do you think will be the next weird thing to be in seemingly every isekai? Mitsuki, what do you think?
I'm gonna go. I'm taking a 50-1 shot here. That I think. All right. This one's more like a 10-1 shot. The next thing is that we're gonna reincarnate people into every inanimate object imaginable. We have a sword. It's the beginning of a trend, and now it's gonna be just all sorts of shit.
Yeah, there was hot tub, right? Reincarnated as a hot spring.
That exists, but I don't think that's been made yet.
Wasn't there reincarnated as a vending machine?
That hasn't been made yet either, but that does exist.
It's coming.
That anime with the hot tub is going to be lewd as fuck, though. Strap yourself in for that. He's going to have his water all up in the private areas. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. That needs to be made ASAP.
I love how we're making water a perv. Water itself.
Water can be very perverted.
As Mason sips his.
Yeah.
Oh, the thirst is real.
Yeah. Slippery when wet. So, I also think that 50-1, we might have a shift into less perverted main characters. We've had a series of isekai now, a few of them, where the main character is not a piece of trash that just wants to
it's great.
Sexually assault people. And, so not all those characters have been very interesting, but I doubt there's a correlation between wanting to sexually assault people and being interesting. So I think that there's just a shot. You kind of see things shift. We had a bunch of the perverted characters, and now we're getting some less perverted characters. And I don't know that I don't know that either of these will make isekai better. What I'd like to see is less isekai and more things that are fucking interesting and different. Because variety is the spice of life. And even though we get 56 anime a season, there's not much variety. It's just very, very astonishing. So that's what I think. But I'm probably wrong.
Mason?
I think we're a little bit past the phase, but I am surprised, and maybe I just missed it, and thankfully. But I felt like why isn't there like a isekai battle royale? Like instead of one guy getting truck-cooned and coming into the world, we get 100 people dropped into the world and have to fight their way to the top. I get that we've had like Sword Art Online where Tower of God, where they all come in and then have to fight to the top of a tower. I'm talking like drop in and then have to fight one another, like on a mass scale. I think that'd be cool and think would be fun. And I only want one of them, but I think if we did get one, it would be a trend.
I'd like to
kind of past, but I don't know. That's my guess.
Speaking of Battle Royale, I'd like to know why that hasn't been made into an anime. I mean, people will love it. The concepts already exist, but Battle Royale is clearly better than I was going to say ranking of kings, but that's the other show with king in the title. King's Game or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Battle Royale is I don't know if it's a great manga, but it was great enough to make a movie. So I don't know why this hasn't been done, but maybe it's just too violent.
Do you think maybe it could be on part of the people who own Battle Royale? Maybe they don't want an anime.
Well, they wanted a movie, which was bad, but
there's Battle Royale like the property, the IP, and there's Battle Royale like the genre of people fighting until there's one left. Like we're getting that with, in a way, with the Blue Lock, the soccer Battle Royale, where 100 people, only one can come out. Like Isekai seems like a fun basis for that to happen. But I guess it's not all that different, so I don't know.
Well, for me to answer the question, it was honestly kind of hard to think of something that hasn't already been an isekai trend, that anything that could be a trend. I guess if it hasn't been made a trend already, it's people being isekai'd into fantasy worlds and bringing their blue-collared skills to do seemingly mundane jobs. Like what's that one from this season? The handyman Saito. Yeah, I feel like this is the start of just a frick ton of those kind of shows. We already kind of delved into it with, I think it was like starting a pharmacy in another world and that kind of stuff. I don't know if they were a pharmacist before or not. But it's also in a little bit kind of like the 80K in another, or 80K for my retirement show. Because here you have this girl, and she's basically, trying to bring the inventions of Earth into this other world and starting up a store to make a ton of money. So, yeah, I think that could be a possible trend if it hasn't been made a trend already. And
right.
Yeah, that's to answer that question. And now we get to our review. Yay!
Yep. So we're going to do a review on Reincarnated as a Sword. So this was one of mine. So Reincarnated as a Sword came out in the fall of 2022, and it's 12 episodes long, done by Studio C2C, who has done a lot of these isekai fantasy type shows. They did World End. They did Handyman. They're doing Handyman Saito. They did Wandering Witch. So fantasy is definitely their area, and it has a very excellent director. Shinji Ishihara is very active, and he's done a lot of stuff. I just pulled two that were very Fairy Tail and Log Horizon. I mean, those are very heavily watched anime. I venture that probably half the audience listening has seen at least one of these shows, and so he's not exactly a first timer. So in Reincarnated as a Sword, exactly as the title describes, is what happens. A sword wakes up to discover that the former life as a human has ended, and he is now a sword, but he's a very powerful sword, and he is what is referred to as an intelligent weapon, and he has the power of telekinesis, which allows him to make himself fly around, which he does, and he just starts destroying, like just beating up on monsters basically, and gathering skills and abilities, and becomes in and of itself sort of an overpowered character. So the sword in this anime is extremely powerful. It's absorbed a lot of skills from monsters that practically nobody can kill, and that's all in the first episode. Until he lands in a spot that is like cursed, and it makes it so he can't use magic. So he lands in this like cursed surface where his telekinesis can no longer be used because of the block on magic, and he just sits there and he's stuck, which is like very powerful sword. It's almost like the Sword in the Stone, sort of. And there's a girl named Fran who's part of a traveling caravan of slaves. So she's a slave from the Black Cat tribe that has a bad reputation and has been beaten up on by a lot of different other types of like tribes. And largely, I think the Black Cat tribe in this is mostly wiped out. And so she's been like taken in as a slave. And in the first episode, still a giant monster that nobody in the caravan can defeat attacks the caravan and just starts wiping out everybody. and Fran kind of like runs off and sees the sword in like the dirt and picks it up. And as she picks the sword up, it is no longer in the cursed surface and is then able to be used again as normal. And so, because the sword is insanely powerful, she's able to, even though she has no experience, is able to defeat this monster. It's obviously not all that strong. And so the adventures of Fran and her sword begin. And that's largely the premise of this anime. I think that's about as good of a synopsis as anybody's going to get. Caroline, what were your expectations coming into Reincarnated as a Sword?
Well, initially, when I heard the title for the first time, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be so darn stupid. Because we just keep on reincarnating things, and now we're reincarnating them into inanimate objects. And I'm like, why are we doing this? It was a little bit better when I found out that, like, okay, it can talk and it can do things, I guess, but still, I didn't really see why we are delving into this kind of story and why it's being made into an anime. But then I heard like a lot of people were talking, it's very good, it's wholesome. There's a really sweet father-daughter relationship between the sword and Fran's cute. And so at that point, while I hadn't seen it yet, I was looking forward to checking it out eventually. So I had decent expectations.
Mason, how about you?
Yeah, similar to Caroline, everyone knows that my gut reaction to most isekai is it's going to be run-of-the-mill, it's going to be generic, it's going to follow the same script, the same formula we've seen time and time again. Obviously, if he's a straight-up sword, that is not having much to offer. If you are literally an inanimate object, there's not much that you can do with that besides being like, oh, I'm being held by a lady. But I had been hearing good things about it in the Discord online, and so I was just like, let's see what this is about. Let's see what the hype is all about. And yeah, that's what I came in with it with.
So I had seen 4 episodes already because I actually wasn't. I was torn between this and another anime that I can't remember which one it was, and I watched the extra for the 4th episode before impressions because I just couldn't decide. And I expected, fantasy action, but I didn't expect it to be that good, honestly. I thought it was going to be pretty average, but I didn't think it would be terrible, and I basically rolled the dice and took a gamble on it. And then this is the anime that got passed. And by the way, I passed it in episode 651, which is not that long ago. Now, Caroline, the question is, now that you've seen it, did it meet your expectations, and would you watch it?
I'd say it met a fair amount of my expectations. It was pretty good. If you are someone that isn't like bogged down by isekais permanently, I think this is a general safe bet. If you like, wholesome relationships in anime and cute characters, and it got some good fighting scenes in there, and Fran isn't just cute, but she's also pretty badass in a way. And yeah, generally it's pretty good. The music is also nice. I mean, I felt at the very least this wasn't like phoned in, generalized fantasy music. It actually had some interesting points to it. I think the main drawback for me is that it's so incredibly gamified. Like, how a lot of isekais get into those video game references where like, oh, I have stats and I have skills and points and that kind of thing. And in this one, it is so overdone. I think this has to be one of the most gamified isekais I've seen in a very long time. And to the point where I'm even wondering, why is it pretending to be in fantasy world? Every inch of this world is video game logic. And it makes for a very uninteresting fantasy if you're going for fantasy. If anything, I would just be like, well, why don't you just make the story he was reincarnated into a video game? Because that would make a lot more sense, and I wouldn't have held it to such high standards as a good fantasy world. Fantasy world. If they just said video game, it's a video game. And I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to critique it too much on that. It's so overwhelming with all that stuff that I disliked that main thing. Other than that, I enjoyed it. So I'll give it that.
Mason, how about you?
Yeah, I think I think it's not that it is a video game world. I think he just interacts with a system that seems like a video game. I don't think any of the other characters have like the same systems at their disposal. But I get from his perspective, it looks like a video game. I thought the show was way better than I expected. It was fun. It was lighthearted. You watch the characters, you see who you're supposed to cheer for, and you cheer for them because you genuinely like them. They're all got their charms and sense of fun. Easily the strongest point of this show is the production. It looks and moves so good. It doesn't rely on cheap gags, but it's just really genuine moments of characters reacting with joy or sadness and making funny faces when they're supposed to, and they come off as funny, and it just excels. The fight scenes are crisp and way better than a lot of action shows I've seen this year. Like, it is really well done. It's kind of strikes me as a mix between Beaufry, but not as focused on comedy, and the Slime Isekai, but not as OP in the same cartoonish way. It's a good mix of you know they're going to come out on top, but they have their trials along the way. And I know Mitz mentioned slavery earlier. It actually portrays slavery as a bad thing. You know, there's not like too many positives. I'm okay with that. A little bit, you know, it does still play by the same rule book as a lot of isekais, but if you're not burnt out on the genre, I think Reincarnated is a fun show. Would I recommend it for most people? Yeah, I think it delivers, but I think it falls flat on a lot of the moments, especially in the second half where it started to grow tiring, but it excelled where it needed to, and it was a good time. I was never dreading the next episode. So yeah, give it a shot.
Oh, and I suppose I should mention that I did end up making the Isekai trope bingo card. So if anybody wants to download their own personal bingo card, I think I have it pinned in AAA discussion in our Discord, I think. But also, if you can't find it, just ask me about it.
We should make a randomizer.
We're going to play that.
No, it does randomize. Like, if you, like, this card, whatever you get, like, it's different from everyone else's. And I'll just rattle off a few things that are on this bingo card. We have slime, slavery, elves, truckhoon, MC is OP, kingdoms at war, harem, lolly character, cute monster companion, and also like extra ones that get dispersed between the cards. But unfortunately for my bingo card, I did not get any bingos. I came close like 3 times, but it looks like the fact that the main character is not a summoned hero, that didn't get crossed off, so I didn't get a bingo there. 2 or more women fight over the MC, didn't get that one, so I lost a bingo there. And MC was unhappy with their prior life, did not cross that off because we don't know anything about his prior life. So yeah, no bingos.
Tragic.
Yeah,
Tragic indeed.
I'd actually like to play that bingo game on an episode here.
Please do. I feel like we should just do that for any isekai that we have to review because it does make it a little bit more interesting with the promise of, wait a minute, I could get a bingo.
So for me, I think this anime is excellent. I recommend it. It's easy to recommend. The world building is solid. I know Caroline doesn't like the game mechanics. I love the game mechanics. I actually want to pause the screen and read all that shit that pops up. Except on fucking High Dive, when you pause shit on High Dive, they like cover the screen and all this horse shit so you can't see anything, and it doesn't go away. Like on some streaming site services, when you pause the screen, like the play bar is there and stuff, but if you just sit there for a second, it will go away. On High Dive, it doesn't go away. Shit pops up on the left and right side of the screen. It pops up on the top. You can't read dick, and it's really annoying. Like, I fucking hate High Dive. I actually like pulled out another what was it this time? A corporate card for the podcast, which I was able to bamboozle High Dive into thinking was a new account, which I already canceled because fuck you. But yeah, I don't know. My irrational hatred of High Dive never ends. But this anime is great. It actually made me want to go play an MMO. I was like, it's like, oh, like I can't wait to go play Chained Echoes or one of these like RPGs that I've been looking at buying because it just made my blood boil for like a good RPG. The action in this is really the strongest suit in the anime. Episode 5 and 6, which we'll get to, I didn't see it coming. I was like blown away. I was like, this is fucking awesome. I love everything about episode 5 and 6. and it has better action than 9 out of 10 isekai shows, and I can't explain it. I mean, this anime gives Jobless Reincarnations action 100% of run for its money, and it's probably better. So I don't know.
I thought they were pretty. I need to rewatch Jobless Reincarnation, but I think they were pretty comparable.
The action, I think, is only what I'm speaking about. It's comparable, but I don't know. I don't recall being all that impressed. There's not that much action in Jobless Reincarnation. I'm too busy like looting girls and being annoying. The characters are great. Sword Kun, or whatever the fuck his name is. Does he even have a name? Sensei.
Teacher, master. Shisho.
For once, a good and well-intentioned main character that's more of a father than anything. He protects Fran. He loves Fran. There isn't even a hint of lecherousness or ecchi in this anime at all. And boy, they could have looted Fran to the moon, but they didn't. Fran
all
is
7 moons.
All 7 or 6 of them.
To the 7
6
moons.
or 7, yes. We do not know.
Yeah, there's a whole scene. We're getting ahead, and I'm interrupting Mitz, but where like she gets a new armor set where you can kind of see a bit of her tummy. And the sword's like, whoa, what's that? What's all that about?
What is this?
She doesn't need that. She's all exposed. Come on, man. Cover that up.
Yeah.
She's my girl. She's my precious girl.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
These are the relationships that I'm lacking in anime.
Yeah.
It's the found father-daughter relationship, and it just makes my heart so warm.
I love Fran. She is a moe girl, but she's also apparently after you've elapsed through some of the season, she's actually 13, so she's not like a blob. She's not like the fucking...
Okay, so 12 is the blob.
The blob cutoff.
Once you reach 13, you are no longer
once you're a teenager.
A blob. Where's the science in this?
It's more about like your character, your personality. So like in Devil is a Part-Timer season 2, that baby is a moe blob. She's basically there to just be cute and be annoying and be a moe character. Fran is a moe character, but you also chop your fucking arms and legs off if you fuck with her.
I don't think that has anything to do with
happens.
the fact that she's 13, because there's plenty of moe blobs out there that are about that age.
I think what I meant...
yeah, she at least has more to her than just being cute.
I guess what I meant is that she's a little more grown up, so she's not just like a baby walking around. But, you know... that said, they are the typical overpowered cast, so that's not unique to this anime at all. Like it's if this anime has a weak spot, it's the narrative. There really isn't one. I'm hoping for more in season 2, but the story is basically like I'm OP, I'm cute, and we're cool, and we're gonna like raid dungeons. Like that's it. I don't know. I get that it doesn't need more than that necessarily, but I would prefer a little more story. But I expect that that's going to happen because season 1 sure ended in a spot that made season 2 look pretty promising. So
I think it said to be continued at the end, right?
I think this anime is going to be lengthy. That's my opinion. That's my guess. I haven't checked, but like it just has this. The pacing has the feeling of an anime that could literally go forever. I mean, they're never going to run out of dungeons to fucking raid. So, and I'm okay with that. So, wow, we all recommended it, I think, which doesn't happen all that often. Anybody else want to say anything else before we go to spoilers?
No, let's go.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Where do you want to start? I was very impressed by episodes 5 and 6. The action was just as a fan of action, as Mason put it, like the anime looks great, and they just like blew their nut on that 5th and 6th episode with that greater demon fight.
And to be fair, yeah, so 5 and 6 is the end of the first raid where they are going through all the goblins. They fight like the multitude of like wasp bee things, and then they find the greater demon, who's like the cocky guy with his own special sword that Tron has to fight against. And when I say the action is good, it's not just that the frames are smooth in the like literal movement of the characters, but it's the choreography of this person gets hit by this attack, and you see them in the next scene fly accordingly based on that impact, and you can feel it, and it's crunchy, and you can see how
it's crunchy.
Like I never watched that fight. It was like, wait, how did she get here? How did this happen? Like there's magic going on. There's all this discussion going on. There's a back and forth, but it very well portrays what is happening at all moments, and you can follow it cleanly, and it looks sharp, and is engaging, and is interesting on how they defeat it. Like it just checked a lot of boxes when it by no means had to. Like the production of the show went above and beyond to convey how fights work in this world, which make you invested in them being good at fighting, which is why them being overpowered and having this spell and this spell is engaging. If they just had powerful spells and it looked like crap, who cares if they're overpowered? It's not fun. But it balanced that OP-ness with she lost her fucking arms at one point.
She
Like,
did.
they had to sacrifice. Like, there was a lot going on, and this show just excelled where I was not expecting that. And maybe, if I came into a mop or witch show of action, I'd be like, well, yeah, of course it's going to look good. It better look this good. So maybe it's an unfair standard, but I just it hit the mark. It was really well done.
Yeah, and boy, I didn't see it coming. Like, she's so OP the whole show. Like, you almost feel like nothing can beat her, and then she just like gets murked. Like, it's just like out of nowhere, right off the bat, boom, your arms are off, both of them. I was like,
Actually, I want to
fuck
talk
me.
about that in particular
Mm-hmm.
because I was really kind of confused by the mechanics, even though they really lay it out to you like a video game. Because, okay, so the sword has a ton of abilities, as we all know. Does Fran have any abilities on her own?
She
Is
doesn't.
it all just the sword?
It's
Well,
all the sword who shares it, but her being a black cat and natural, like, training with it has imbued her with some levels of, like, agility, reflexes. Like, she's not a weakling as far as combat is concerned. She just can't do any of her spells, or some of that strength and buffs she get doesn't come out. So that's why
Okay,
later, when all
but-
that is stripped away, she can still evade and fight a little bit.
But all the other characters, it seems like they're not tied down to a weapon. Like, that's
True.
not where they draw their power from. So
Correct.
is she really actually strong? Is she ever going to evolve? Because that's not really... I feel like
That's
she's
the
not
question.
really having the abilities. It's just the sword that's doing it.
She is. You're correct, and that's one of the big fight. She's going down this path, not knowing if she actually can physically take that step to evolve like she wants. But she is learning, like, the grit and determination and can-do attitude, and that determination to proceed down this dangerous. Like, that's what she's growing in, and hopefully, she can evolve to get her own powers, I think is the point.
So if she, as she is now, she doesn't have the ability to have magic powers, and the other beings in this world do, unless she evolves. I'm just trying to understand, because I really like, Fran. It's just, I don't like the fact that she's completely she doesn't actually have any power. It's all the sword.
My guess is that that's because she's the black cat, and they haven't evolved to gain those powers of higher abilities that other people have, which is why they're looked down upon, used just merely as slaves and grunt labor.
Okay. I thought that their unevolved forms still had the capacity to do magic on their own. That's what I thought.
Mark my
Yeah,
words.
we haven't seen enough other.
She's gonna be a Magikarp though. She's gonna evolve and be like so fucking
Probably.
badass.
Exactly.
I'm
That's how it's going to be.
I'm
She's
also,
splashing out here.
even though the show is kind of wholesome to this point, I am kind of worried though, like that she's gonna grow up and evolve and turn and become like an adult almost, and then it's gonna be like, look at this fucking smoking hot like black cat girl. You can see it happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm kind of concerned.
I
that
can
they
also
might head in that
see
direction.
them doing like a time skip where she becomes, like maybe an older teenager or something like that, and then she eventually evolves. I don't know. It's hard to say what will happen.
We're gonna need a montage.
Yes, I would love a time skip, actually.
I think the fact that she got somewhat wrecked by that spider in like episode 11 or 12, but without the sword there, kind of is enough for me to say that she doesn't have a whole lot of, that they need to be. Well, the sword doesn't need her clearly, but she needs the sword, and
apparently the other two people that were with her, they didn't do anything. So
well, they're scrubs.
Yeah, they're all scrubs and weak. She's a rank D, but they wouldn't advance her fast enough because of politics. But she's more like a rank B, I think. So,
I think that's how we're supposed to perceive it.
Yeah.
But
so
I just a little bit. Sorry, I want to go back to the animation a little bit more and just gush about it. So, there's a bunch of like little slick moments of consideration for the systems. Like, she'll draw her sword, and they'll show like this pocket dimension popping up to hold the scabbard. Like, just little moments of. It only took a couple seconds to put that in there, but just the idea of the mental consideration of all that, I really love. And there's just a lot of humor that comes from the visuals. Obviously, a bunch of scenes where Fran looks cute, or chairs, or eats a bunch of food, and you're like, "Ha, that's amazing." But like, there's a scene where the blacksmith creates a new scabbard for Shisho, and he's like, up until then, he's been like wrapped in this like tape or cloth on Fran's back, and he's like, "Oh, a new scabbard. Let me get into it." And it shows like the cloth like falling away, like he's undressing in a way. Like, I never thought the show would be able to present a sword getting naked to get into a scabbard. Like, it just is nice. I just wish some of the things are missing. Like, the blacksmith will show, oh, here's how you open the scabbard with this mechanism, but they don't show it. Like, I wanted it to go one step further. The biggest problem I have is just the art style is kind of lacking in style sometimes. Like, sometimes things just look a little too plain, a little too by the numbers. So I do like how the goblins look. I do like how things look visually. I just think some of it's a little stale. So I don't know. That's my one gripe for the visuals.
I don't know. At the very least, Fran's character design is adorable. She's like cute. Her outfit, I love it. I'm gonna miss that armored dress that she wears all the time, because honestly, the shorts and crop top at the end, doesn't compare to the cute little dress that she had. So yeah, Fran was great, and you know, she's just so like, I am a real sucker for the little chibi comedic moments in the faces that she makes. And even though she is kind of stoic in a way, you know what? She reminds me of Hina from Hina Matsuri a little bit. Like, and how
I can see
sometimes like her stoicness, but then she will say something really funny and a very blank stare, or like in some way, and then she will get into that little cute chibi form that Hina doesn't do, but in a way she kind of reminds me of Hina.
I mean, I love Fran's personality. I love how she'll, you know, she's innocent, but then something will happen and she'll talk to the sword and say, you know, I want to kill him.
Yeah, that's
I want to cut his arms off.
Why'd you have to explode him? I wanted to do it.
Yeah, why'd you have to beat him? Now I don't get to do anything. She just wants to go in there and like whoop some ass.
Meanie.
Yeah, the dungeon raids in this are very satisfying. They have a lot of atmosphere, and they really give me the itch to like fire up Baldur's Gate or something and go fuck up some skeletons. Because in the first raid with the Deep Greater Demon, you know, they show a lot of the dungeon, and they show her like leaping off a ledge into a foggy terrain below, and you don't really know what you're jumping into, and it's very explorative. And then in the second raid with all the spiders, you know, they're going through all these corridors, they're disarming traps, they really flesh out like the feeling of the area, and a lot of shit happens. Like, there's, as Mason said before, like they're not just like going in and slicing up some goblins. Like both the dungeons, something highly eventful has occurred, and it just makes the dungeon raids feel like something that you want to look forward to. Like, I can't wait for the next one. I want to know what's going to happen in the next one. And
yeah, and I'm not usually into
my least favorite battle, I think, was with the blue cat, because even though I liked moments of it, like her cutting off his limbs and stuff, that was great.
Wasn't much of a battle.
The villain itself, I'm like, it's like, my mortal enemy, the blue cats, are the nemesis of the black cats, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of silly.
And he's like, ha, yes, you feeble black cats. Us blue cats are your sworn enemies. Like, we just said that.
Very, very, just, we didn't need the explanation all that much. We get it.
So I really like the first half of the show. I think it efficiently sets up how he got strong, how he came to know Fran, like where their connection comes from, their initial like getting geared up, getting accepted into the guild. I think that was good. The first dungeon raid was solid. Past that, the second half I thought was a little bit predictable and unrewarding, especially with like this August all-sand guy who comes in.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I just got this power to steal a power. I hope we can find someone bad to try it on. And like the next scene is this guy who's like obviously bad and cartoonishly awful. And he's followed up shortly by Amanda, who's like boob-filled coincidences are kind of annoying at the beginning. Like if you have an A name in this, August Amanda, like you're kind of just cartoony and a little too much. And a lot of like Amanda's uses just for like world exposition of finally describing this is a skill, this is an art, this is magic, this is how mana works. And I was like, I like that we didn't get that front loaded. I like how they waited till episode 10 to drop that, but it was still very like Okay.
It's kind of strange that they are going into this dungeon where they're apparently supposed to be taking a test, and it's supposed to be difficult for them. Meanwhile, like they're just wandering around, just talking about the bare basics of what the world fighting systems are about. It just didn't really seem like it should be the time to do the exposition.
I mean, we also had that one, like, crad guy, like the leader of the Dragon Brigade or whatever, who's like,
the Dragon's Roar!
Dragon's Roar! Like, I did like his little crew, like, dancing behind him, but for the most part, he was just actively being a pain in the butt because they needed to prove that she's strong and shut him up. Like, I get it, and it's fun, and you're like, ooh, yeah, see, he got what was coming to him. She is strong, and I like her, and she's our girl. But it's so... And I think that's part of, like, the narrative weakness that the show has at times, when it tries to fill the gaps with... Like, it doesn't do anything for me, the viewer, to prove that she's strong to a nobody. Like, it's satisfying, but it's not rewarding in any way. So, I much preferred the first half, but fine.
Amanda grew on me.
I was going to ask you about that just now.
Oh, really? Well, we were...
Yeah. How did you feel about her?
Split mind.
Split mind. Yeah. My headache. Yes. Oh my god.
So initially I'm like, oh my god, here's the fan service character with the big boobs and call me mommy, and I'm like, oh, I gotta.
And then she's like blushing and like writhing because she's like, oh, a child. Oh my. Oh, I can't handle
weird.
it. Oh, I'm so hot and bothered. And I'm like, excuse me, lady, I'm mostly bothered.
Come on. I know that they really played her up at first, and they kind of calmed her down over the course, and I feel like that's cheating. You can't do that and make us think, oh, I understand her. No, you calmed her down. You can't do that. But I'm, if they're gonna do that, fine. I'm glad that she wasn't that annoying, Okasan character at that she was at the beginning. Because I am very interested in this backstory that she has with Fran's parents, and
I couldn't be less interested.
Really?
When she met her and she's like, oh, I knew 2 black cats back in the day, but they disappeared. I wonder what happened to them. Oh, they came back once with a daughter named Fran. Like,
I feel like she has to know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like, it was just painfully obvious the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
it might have been a little bit obvious, but okay. I still like the fact that they kind of tied her into Fran's life a little bit. And, what else? Oh yeah, and as I mentioned, the emotional climax to Mason yesterday. Like the emotional climax is a pun with Mamanda.
Yeah, I actually like that though. I mean, it was kind of a touching moment, and but I'm kind of indifferent on Amanda, and frankly, I don't think she's going to be around much. So, I think that
I think she's too OP to be around much.
I think Fran went off on her next adventure at the end of the season, and I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. So,
I'm kind of surprised by that. I kind of figured that, like, oh, you're going to a dungeon? That's like a weekend trip, right? No, I'm leaving forever.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Amanda was okay. She's a good ally, and she was a little annoying at first, and then she kind of grew on me, and it wasn't overly...
Did she ruin the show? No, absolutely not.
No.
Was she a great inclusion? Not really.
Yeah, she was so-so, but I guess she's the mother figure for, Fran, and she has a mother figure and a father figure. I guess that's kind of her role, and I don't know, it's kind of nice because Fran needs support, and she's just a little black cat in a big world going on big adventures. She needs a hug now. She needs a hug once in a while when she's not cutting your legs off. Yeah, I don't know. I ended up liking Fran a whole hell of a lot more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a very likable character, and I like that she's not one-dimensional. Like, she's cute, but she's not, but she's weak too. Like, she's strong, but she's weak. Like, as soon as she lost the sword,
she has good willpower.
She lost the sword and immediately lost all of her confidence and was happy to just let that spider kill her until she remembered, like, her words of encouragement from the sword from Sensei or whatever, and then she realized, oh, even without the sword, I'm still level 30 or whatever, and I can still fucking punch your ass. And, so she was trying to save people, and she's a little bit of a multi-dimensional character, and I enjoyed Fran. So Do you guys have anything else you want to throw out before we give the scores?
I think I've said what I needed to.
Yeah, it's the CG for Shisho was a little cartoony at first, but I think it didn't distract from what happened. And I think it started off visually weaker than it eventually got. I think the action, like a lot of anime front load their best looking shows at the beginning. I think this one kind of held back for a bit. So if you watch episode 1 and you're like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, I think by episode 3 it really comes into its own.
How about we'll start with Caroline?
All right. I really liked the show. Generally enjoyed it. A couple of things here and there that just were not for me. The gaminess, being the main thing. Also, I feel like the narrative could have been a little bit more driving, but I understand it's just not that kind of show. A little bit more slice of life, I suppose. But overall, I will give this a what kind of 3.5 mamandas out of 5.
Mason.
Yeah, I watched the show and I had no idea like what to score it. It was an easy watch. It was a fine watch. It did more than I was expecting, and it was pleasant. Did it deliver anything that was that engaging? Not really. I think it still is at its core an isekai, which does what isekais do, just with a little more polish at sometimes, a little likable characters, nothing that was like grotesque that made me be like, oh god, we're having to deal with this again. So I'd err on the side of positive, even if it didn't blow me away. I'm gonna give it 3. How many moons are there in the sky? Why is there not 6? Why is there not 7? This will haunt me forever.
It's gonna haunt me too now that you've mentioned it. Why did you make this a trivia question?
I want to know why they're all in the same place. They're like all on top of each other in the anime. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, it's how it works.
It's just a video game world.
If anybody can tell us the answer to this moon situation, please tell us on Discord, because I need to know.
Moondamic.
For me,
us.
This anime was a whole lot better than I thought. I'm happy I rolled the dice and guessed correctly. I don't give myself too much credit, but I did guess correctly at a minimum. So I really like this anime a lot. I did binge it. It went really quick. I was hyper engaged. The dub, we didn't mention the dub. It's not great. I think it grew on me too, but at first I was like, Jesus, this is bad. Like, really bad.
Oh, I did not check out the dub at all. The sub I thought was solid.
Neither.
But this anime is, I'm comparing it to other similar shows like Bofuri, like Jobless Reincarnation, and I think it stacks up fairly well. So I don't have a whole lot of bad things to say about it, other than the fact that it lacked narrative. I think that if this had a solid narrative with like maybe a villain and a goal and like a conflict, then this anime would have been pushed to a level that not that many anime reach for me.
It would have evolved.
It would have evolved into what I can only imagine is what I hope is not a Nezuko sexed up like orgasm character.
Oh,
you're going to make that face, but you're not going to eat a jelly bean. Oh, it's interesting.
I was thinking about it, but now that you mentioned it.
I think you've
maybe
stacked the deck on this bet
know.
that they've got going on the Discord. I think you have a stake in it behind under the table.
I don't at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just
that's exactly what you would say.
What the jelly beans commanded me.
So frankly, I think this anime is really good, but I'm not gonna get carried away. So I'm gonna give it 4 monster crystals out of 5. If it had like a conflict that was compelling, I think I would have given it a 4.5. And I'm hoping that we'll get a season 2, and you better believe we're gonna probably watch it. And I hope that a story emerges, and that'll push it to like the next level. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think it needs a compelling antagonist to really force some juicy drama.
It should have been the black cat, the nemesis, or the blue cat, the nemesis of the black cat.
It's going to be fucking long, because you can tell that she's not close to evolving, and she will have to, and then there's going to have to be something that happens after that. And so this anime is probably 50 episodes, I would guess.
What if the evolvement was the friends we made along the way?
That would be really lame.
Well, we shall hope for the best. And we shall end the episode. So thank you all for joining us. Yes, it's over. You can follow us on Twitter, remember, at AAA Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, also AAA Podcast. On Discord, go to aaapodcast.com and you'll get information on that, as well as all the watch parties and the anime clubs and all the other discussions that we do. We're going to be watching, Robots this week for Anime Club?
Robot Carnival.
Robot Carnival, that's it. So we're going to be discussing that, and I believe the club after that, we're going to be discussing trashy anime. Anime that we think is trash, but is also kind of good in a way. So we'll be voting on that, and that will be the next club meeting discussion. So if you want to be involved with that, get involved with the Anime Club today. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week for episode 666. Yeah.
Evil.
Oh yeah, I want to say one more thing real quick. I was wearing yellow contacts for the cat for about 100 minutes of this episode, and no one noticed.
We don't have that kind of resolution. Sorry.
And then they started to hurt, so I took them out. But shame on no one, not even on the Discord or not even on the Twitch, and I don't think anybody noticed. So they were yellow.
Ooh,
so
I like it.
Now you have to go back and
look. It was
look.
all in vain, unfortunately.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.